Well, we're back at it again. As you can see, I got Boneshaker turned around in the garage so that I have more room to work on this rear end. Got the garage cleaned out quite a bit. Got this LS motor sitting here. This is what originally came with the truck, but I don't know anything about them. Didn't want to use it. Had something else in mind anyway. So I got that pulled out from the corner and got it listed on the marketplace. So hopefully that'll be gone within the next day or so. In the meantime, we're working on this rear end. I've got the fuel cell taken apart, panhard bars loose. Start taking these links apart, then we'll take the shockulators apart and get this rear end pulled out. I need to go ahead and cut. I think we're gonna keep this side. So this is 25 degrees. I think this is 15 degrees. This is the one that broke initially. So we're gonna keep it, after some debate, I think we're gonna keep it at 25 degrees. So we're gonna end up having to move this one out towards the wheel a little bit more and make that 25 degrees as well. But then we'll get them positioned, moved back into place, make sure everything is lined up where it needs to be. And then we'll pull it back out, weld it all up, and then we'll get it kind of sanded down, ground down, whatever, and painted. We'll get this just completely finished and looking good. Then we'll throw it back in, hook everything back up, and we'll go take it for a ride. Got the rear end out, everything's disassembled. So as you can see, you got the, I think that's the emergency brake there. We got brake lines that are all out of whack, all the way across. So we got just some clips and things on here. So I'm gonna get all this stuff. There's little tacks and just different things everywhere. So I'm gonna get all this stuff cleaned up, ground down, cleaned up, wire brushed. I'm gonna cut this one off here, move it over about an inch, 3/4 to an inch. And that should give me my 25 degrees to match this side over here. What I'm also gonna do, I've got these 2 bars, and both of these are, I don't know, it's like 1.5 by 3/8 thick. So this one works really good for as a shock mount. But this one's just kind of tacked in. And what I think I'm gonna do is pull this one back out, and I'm gonna transfer it back here and run it along the back here. That's kind of in the way of the panhard bar as of right now. So I'm gonna run it back here, and then I think I'm gonna go ahead and cut this back end off a little bit. I don't need this. This is, I guess, where the bumper would bolt up. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut back here. I don't know where exactly, but some point back here, run that bar across. And what I'd like to use that bar for is to go ahead and weld some sort of like a tow hitch, something on the back here. That way I could tow a trailer if I need to. I would love to take this thing, it's just kind of a dream as of right now, but I would love to take this thing on some sort of a drag and drive. I think that would be pretty cool. Long-term goals, but that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. So that's what we're gonna do. Okie doke. We got one side dressed and ground down and everything. I got those brackets are exactly where I want it. I've got this bracket, the shock mount down here. We'll go ahead and put that on, tack it on. We'll weld both of these up permanently. We'll get a really good weld on there, and then we'll go ahead and switch to the other side. We'll make sure those are good and welded on there, exactly where I need them to be. And then we'll go ahead and dress this whole thing, make sure that it's prepped and ready for paint. We'll paint it all, and then we'll let it dry, probably be a couple days, and then slide her back in, get her all hooked back up, and then we're going to take it for some burnouts. All right, now as you can see, I've got this welded up. This is TIG welded all the way around. It looked pretty good. Not able to kind of get on the inside in there, but we'll get in there in a minute. But what I realized is that my MIG welder is just a Lincoln. It's a little Lincoln 140, and it's just not hot enough to get real good penetration on some of this thicker stuff. You know, maybe up to 1/4 inch it's pretty good, but anything beyond that is just too much. So I've got that TIG welder, and that, you know, that goes up to 165 amps, which is plenty warm to get some good penetration. So what I went ahead and did is just, I'm going to end up one layer of TIG, and then on top of that, while it's still a little bit warm, we'll put some MIG weld on top of it, get some extra penetration in it, and in here we'll get inside here the best that we can with the MIG, and then all the way on the outside. That'll just be a little bit of extra strength, but that was kind of the problem, I think, with what I was doing before. Was I just had it MIG welded, it just wasn't hot enough, and that 140, it's just not, I don't have the ability to convert it over to 220, but I do with that TIG welder. So that's the solution. Double weld everything. I think this will be plenty strong to keep it where it's at, so nothing should break. Well, here we go. This is the result of getting it all worked up, prepped, and welded and painted. It's not really paint. This is, I guess, a rubberized undercoat. What I ended up using was this Flex Seal rubber in a can. And I gotta say, I like it. Went on really easy, really smooth. There's no drips, there's no nothing. Looks like a nice thick coat. So yeah, I got this side is done. It's welded, all welded up where I want it. All the extra material, all the tacks and all the ugly stuff has been ground down, ground off, and addressed. So I got this painted. Looks really good compared to on this side what it looks like. So I'm really impressed with this. I think it looks really good. I'm glad I used it. We'll see how it dries and how it looks tomorrow or the next day. It's going to take a day or two, I think, to really dry and cure. But yeah, I think it looks really good. I'm impressed. But right now, I'm going to leave this side for tomorrow. I've got some prioritize that I need to go take care of. And believe it or not, I would rather be there than here any day of the week. So we're going to leave it here for now. Take care of that tomorrow. It's raining today. It really sucks. I'm ready for some warmer weather, some sunshine. That'd be nice. But it makes for a good day to be out in the garage where we find ourselves again. So I have the rear end completely done. I have all the brackets and everything, all the necessary components welded up in place. I got it all painted. Looks really good. Love that Flex Seal. Rubber in a can. Kind of like it. So ended up spraying some of the frame last night. Got it all welded up, everything that I needed. Kind of stopped up here a little bit because what I want to do while I have the rear end out is go ahead and cut into this cross member, this, I don't know, frame brace. Go ahead and cut that out because I'm having a little bit of clearance issues when it comes to the drive shaft here. I think I'm going to make some adjustments on the rear end and where I place the shocks. Maybe move it up an inch just to give it a little bit more clearance, but I'm going to go ahead and cut that out anyway, just to make sure that I've got plenty of clearance in that area. But like I said, I went ahead and sprayed some of the frame, most of all of the frame, inside and out and everything underneath. But what I want to do here, I want to go ahead. This is just too much, too long. I don't need all this, so I want to go ahead and cut. I'm going to make a cut on both sides here. I started cutting on this side. I don't know why I even stopped, but I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. And then I've got another one of these braces. I think I said that it's like 1.5 by 3/8 thick, square tubing. So I'm going to place another one back here and run it across, probably closer to the bottom of the frame. Weld that in, and I'd like to put a tow hitch on it back here somewhere to be able to tow a trailer, small trailer. So like I was saying, I want to do some drag and drives. That's a possibility. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But also that that piece that I'll end up running across here, that tubing, I'll actually be able to put some sheet metal across there as well and use that as a good starting point to put in some tail lights. So I'll break those out here pretty quick and we'll show you guys what those look like. But that'll be pretty good. That'll make for some easy placement for those tail lights. So we'll check into that. We'll get that done. But first, what I want to do is go ahead and cut that area out and make some clearance for that drive shaft. Right, well, we got that done. We got this bar installed across here. That's what I'm looking for. That's where we're gonna maybe put our tow hitch. You can kind of see there, I got that little notch cut out. That should be plenty of room for my drive shaft. That probably gives me about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, maybe even 2 inches of clearance extra on top of what I had already, which wasn't much. But I think initially when I had my shocks installed, they were installed down here on this bottom hole. So I think we're going to go up one just to kind of raise the back end up a little bit, maybe another, I don't know, 3/4 of an inch or something. So overall I'm looking at about 2, maybe 3 inches of clearance between the drive shaft and the frame. So that should be good. So we're going to go ahead and get this rear end installed, push it in there, hook up all the links and the panhard bar and shocks, and throw the drive shaft in there. And once we get that done, oh man, I know it's still raining, but yeah, once we get that done, we'll wait for a sunny day and go take it for a spin. I've kind of got a dilemma. I've got a list of things that I need to do, but I've only got a certain amount of resources to get that stuff done. So what I was hoping, as you can see, I got the rear ends all pretty much put together. It's been painted, undercoated. But what I'm really wanting to do, I think, in order to drive this, I have to get my fuel cell in place. And I don't really have a good way to set it up right now. So I'm thinking what I want to do is use the material that I have to go ahead and build a bed frame for this. And I've been thinking about a design, coming up with a plan on what I want to do. And what I want ultimately is to make it removable. That way I can have access to all this stuff just in case it needs adjustment or whatever. I don't want to have to jack it up. I just want to be able to take the bed off and have access to all this. I'm ready to start driving this thing around. It's getting nice. The days are nice and warm. Starting to get warmer. Sunny day today, thankfully. But the cruise nights have started. We're in the middle of March, and I would like to take this thing out, show it out, go cruising with everybody, start meeting some people. And that's the whole point of this, was to get out and break into that scene and have something to show off, have something to talk about with other people, to meet new people, and you know, be a part of that community. That's what this whole thing is about. So I need to get this thing going, so we're going to go ahead and work on this bed frame, get it done. I think ultimately what I want to do is just something simple. We'll put like a piece of plywood on there. We'll get like a really nice wood grain plywood, sand it down, stain it, and throw it on top here. But that way we'll be able to position the fuel cell and get this thing on the road. Well, here's what I got for my frame idea. I actually ended up having these pieces. I don't know if you can see this very well, but it's just kind of it's a broke piece. I got these at work a while back, and I didn't know what I'd use them for, but they came in handy today. But it actually works out pretty good because I have this little ridge that will help hold in, you know, some plywood or whatever kind of wood that I want to put in there. You know, I've been thinking about actually doing just like wood planks running across. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But for now, this is the frame. I got 2-inch angle iron pieces that are welded to these channeled pieces that I got from work. And I think this is going to work out pretty good. What I've decided to do here, so we'll see, we've got kind of a gap. It's a huge discrepancy back here, so we're going to have to address this somehow. I think just put some sheet metal, you know, cut a piece of sheet metal and run it across, weld it into place to the frame, and then we can bolt it in down here somewhere just to kind of make it a little bit sturdy. You know, obviously we'll bolt this to the frame, to the chassis, but what I was thinking, because this is kind of unsightly down here, but what I was thinking about doing, what might be kind of neat, would be to cut some sheet metal down to the frame and kind of shape it to the frame. You can see it doesn't quite line up. I think I've got there's about an inch here between the edge of this frame and the chassis itself. So what I was thinking about doing, after I get these panels cut, I'd like to bead roll some sort of design into them, you know, just to kind of give it some strength down at the bottom. We would obviously weld it to the top of the bed frame here, and then I can make some standoffs and weld to the panel and then bolt it into the frame. But that way it's going to hide all this ugliness, and yeah, I think that's going to work out pretty good. So that's what I'm thinking as of right now. I don't know what we're going to do as far as the wood goes in here. I don't think that there really needs to be any more support in the middle. I don't plan on really using the bed for much of anything, but I like the way that this is going right now. So I think I'm going to go ahead and finish welding up this frame. We'll drill some holes, make some standoffs that I'll weld to the frame in the corners over here, and that'll go down and bolt into the chassis itself. Once we get all that stuff bolted up, then we'll take a look at what to do with some sheet metal on the sides and on the back here. I'm actually getting ready to go to the hardware store and pick up some plywood. I'm just going to do plywood, something simple. I'm going to look for the best grain that I can possibly find and put some character into it, and probably throw some polyurethane down on it. Really the only purpose of the bed, other than the aesthetic look, is just going to be to hold that fuel cell. So it shouldn't really be a problem. I don't think I need any bracing really back here. It's just going to make this frame even heavier than it already is, and I just want to be able to remove the whole thing to get to the back and work on the suspension as needed. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm about to head to the hardware store and pick up some plywood for that, and hopefully you guys can kind of see what I'm doing here, but I got both panels cut. I still need to cut this one here, and then once I get it done, I'll bead roll them and put it all together, weld it all together, and paint the frame. We're gonna paint. I'm gonna do the rubberized coating on the frame itself, on the inside of the frame, on the inside of the panel as well. But then on the outside, we'll go ahead and do the blue color that I have. The whole thing will be blue, but I like the black frame parts, so. Yep. It is raining cats and kittens today, but thankfully I've got just enough room to work in the garage and everything. So you can see what I'm doing here. I got the frame. I don't know where we left off. I got the frame pretty much done and ready. I've got my pieces, my side pieces here, the skirts. I've got those done. Got them bead rolled. Just got a little padded in the side just to kind of strengthen them down at the bottom. I have this one kind of mocked up. I have the other one sitting there ready to mock up on the other side. And then I've got the back piece here. Got this back piece that's going to run along here. So I think I'm ready to go ahead and tack all this stuff in place, get it welded up, weld this back piece on the other side. When we get there, I need to go ahead and figure out the situation for down there, put a boss on there or something, screw it through the frame. That way I can get all this jiggle out of it. This is kind of stupid. So I'm gonna have to address that. But once we get to that point, which should be fairly quickly, I'll go ahead and take this thing off, get it kind of sanded down a little bit, spray it with some undercoat, and then I can go ahead and scuff this up, scuff these panels up all the way around, and get a layer of primer down on those and get them ready for some paint. Good morning. It's early this morning, but it's a nice day. We're going to try and take advantage of it today. Trying to get as much done as we can, trying to get this bed finished up. So got everything buckled down. I got all the interior stuff painted, got the frame painted with the rubber coat, the inside of the panels painted as well. I've got these panels buckled down pretty good so that they don't flap anywhere. Got those. All I did was ended up welding some you can't see it, but I just welded some bolts onto the inside of the panel and then ran them through, secured them with a couple nuts. So I've got everything painted on the inside. Still have to paint the outside, but we'll get to that. I got a plan for that. I've got my holes drilled for my tail lights, measured out and drilled and everything. Got holes drilled for the license plate and the air shock nozzle so that I can fill up the air in the shocks. So what we're going to try to do today is I'm going to take this piece of wood, make sure that it fits right, cut it down if necessary. Then I need to locate where the fuel cell goes in here so that I can get my connections. And what we're going to have to do is cut out an area for the fuel cell because there's a sump down in the fuel cell that sits below the wood where the connections go from the fuel lines. So I need to make a cutout there, and then I'm going to go ahead and I've got a little propane torch sitting over here. I'm going to use that, fire it up, and draw out some of the character in this wood. Bring it out as much as possible. Then we'll give it a good sanding, and then throw some polyurethane on there. Get it coated once or twice, 3 times, whatever it takes. Make it look real good. We'll set it down in here. We'll bolt it down, weld it down, whatever we need to do. Weld some. Probably going to put some. I think I have a 2 or 3 inch flat bar that I might set on the sides here just to hold down the wood panel, but it's also going to help me. I'm thinking about welding on some chain links or whatever so that I can have some tie downs, some areas for some tie downs. I also need to think about some tie downs that go on the cab, so when I transport a gas cylinder, I can actually stand them up and secure them in some way, but we'll take a look at that later. Go ahead and say I got these tail lights. They're just some cheapies off of Amazon, but I got these. They look pretty good, I think. So we're gonna go ahead and get those on, get the brake lights hooked up and everything, and I got it registered. So we'll throw the license plate on here, get everything hooked up, and take it for a drive. This piece cut out for the sump. Took that propane torch, put some character in this wood, just kind of heated up all the grain in the wood and brought it right out. Went ahead and gave it a decent sand, I guess. Sanded it a little bit just to get the roughness off, but I think it came out pretty good. It looks pretty good, I think. So now we're going to go ahead and get some polyurethane on here. Already did the backside, so underneath just did one coat there. That should seal it for the most part. So we'll probably put 2 or 3 coats on the top just to draw everything out, get it as smooth as possible, make it look as good as possible. And when we get done with that, get that done drying. While this is drying, I need to go ahead and start working on getting everything prepped, all the panels and everything prepped, so that we can get it primered and painted. Well, this is 3 coats. It's starting to look a little shinier. It's starting to stay a little bit more wet, like I'm hoping for. But I think we're going to do 1 more coat, so that'll make 4 total, and that should really put the seal on it. In the meantime, I've gotten this all prepped. All this has been kind of scuffed up and wiped down, ready to start getting a primer on it. I got the wheels off there so I can get access to everything. But I'm going to go ahead and get all this taped up and everything so I don't get overspray on everything that I've already done. And we'll go ahead and primer it, then we'll address that, and then we'll go ahead and paint it blue. Got everything back together. Looks pretty good, came out pretty good. Yeah, I like the bed, came out really nice. Got everything with the lights on, the air shock inlet, tail lights, license plate. But I'm having a small problem. I've got the air shocks back here, and so this shock, for one reason or another, doesn't stay inflated all the time. It's inflated right now, has been inflated since I took it for a drive yesterday. So I don't know what the deal is, but sometimes I'll, mess around with the back end. I'll push it down, just kind of wiggle it a little bit, take it for a drive. I mean, just about anything. And I come back, and the top part of the shock is sitting on the bolt. So I've got an issue. I don't know what it is. It's fine right now, but I've got some sort of issue with this shock. The other one is just fine. I've never had any problems with that whatsoever, but this one, for some reason, it has an issue. So what I decided to do was I bought some coilovers. So I'm going to get these. I got them put together, but I'm going to go ahead and take those air shocks out, and I'm going to install those coilovers onto here, and that should take care of any issues that I'm having with this. And once I get this off, maybe I can go through it and just kind of diagnose what the problem is. We could use that for something else. So that is the mission for this evening. Get those coilovers on here and take it for a test drive. Well, there we have it. The coilovers are in. Those were pretty easy to install. The one thing that I don't like, I'm sitting from the ground to the bottom of the bed. I'm sitting at about 16 inches, which is about a 1/4 inch lower than the maximum height of the air shocks that I had on there previously. So these are 140-pound springs. In hindsight, I probably should have went with 200-pound or 250-pound springs just to get the back end up a little bit higher. So I might consider doing that here in the future. But for now, I think this is going to work just fine. It rides pretty good. We need to go take it out for a test. But yeah, they're pretty simple to put together, and They look pretty good, but we're gonna go ahead and leave them for now. We'll consider putting those stiffer springs in a little bit later. So here she is in all of her glory. Got the bed done. I think it looks pretty good, nice and shiny, just the way I liked it. Taillights are working just fine. I think it looks pretty good. It's a little short, but I don't know, it's all right. So I had to cut down these side pipes a little bit, down pipes. I think I took about 10 inches out of them and welded them back together, painted them. That just helped me get some clearance for opening these doors. And if you guys remember from the last videos, these things were dragging on the ground pretty much, quarter inch, half inch off the ground. So I cut them down just a little bit, got them on there. I bent the headers back up a little bit, so I have plenty of clearance. I probably got 4 or 5 inches of clearance from the ground, so that's pretty awesome. I took it for a drive the other day, and I lost the trophy, the skull trophy, from on top of the radiator. It's somewhere on the road. Somebody's gonna find it. Wonder what the hell it's doing there. But yeah, it runs great. Everything seems to be working just fine. I got the door handles in. One door handle in. I got mirrors on, side mirrors, so that's pretty good. That helps out, makes it a little bit more street legal. But yeah, it looks good. So the next thing I need to work on is getting those seats in, building the brackets for the seats, getting those installed. Obviously I need to get the windshield in. That's kind of important. Get the side glass made and put in. Yeah, we'll be good to go. Still have a lot of patch panels that I need to get done. I have some holes that I need to get filled in on the roof and on the doors and just different places, but that's coming up. We get some of that body work done, get it looking good. But there she is. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Am I on the right track? Does it look good? Does it look terrible? Do I need to do something else? Let me know. And in the meantime, I think we're going to leave it there. And I just want to say thank you guys for all the support, all the comments. Thank you for subscribing, just everything. I really appreciate it, all the kind words. If you have any criticism, leave it down in the comments and I'll be sure to address it. But if you're watching these videos and you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe. Like the video too, help me out with that algorithm. And yeah, we'll leave it there. We'll see you in the next one.